Well, welcome back to the Ryan Ripken Show, episode two. And we're sorry we had to take a week off. We're trying to get things going, so it's going to take a little time. I'm Ryan Ripken, for those that don't know me, and this is Brad Smith. Brad, how we doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Well, prior to about 20 minutes ago, when I had my tackling fuel, as I said for the water boy reference, I had my coffee, spilled it all over the carpet. Sorry about that. That's your carpet. Other than that, I'm doing great.
Listen, I said it before, off camera. I've had co-hosts before spilled on much more expensive equipment than carpets, so it's all good.
But you know what? I think I'm just more ticked off because how much you spend on coffees. Like, I was pumped about it, and I got a venti iced Americano. Don't like to put I don't put anything in it, actually, just black. And you know, it deflated me. But starting the show, I got the energy back because the show must go on.
Listen, there's no replacement for adrenaline.
There isn't, and then nothing gets you going for the list that we have tonight, kind of, right? We got a few things to go over tonight. Let's just start with the All-Star Game festivities. We're going to break down everything that's happened this past, I was going to say weekend, but it's not, in the middle of the week. Really everything from the game, from the festivities. We have some thoughts and opinions, trade discussions in Major League Baseball, and then some MLB updates, because there have been some moves. There have been some moves that we need to talk about that I think are worth discussing a little bit further. And then, you know, the rumors with Ohtani, is there smoke to that, or is it just all mirrors? We'll find out. We got special events that's recently happened. The ESPYs just happened. I'm going to touch on that a little bit.
Yep.
Some headline news around the rest of the U.S. A couple of new segments going into about some icebreakers.
Bro, I'm super pumped about that.
I am too.
Yeah.
And
we're tightening up the show. We actually got like segments that we've titled and branded. That's happening.
Actually segments, but Brad shut me down on a couple right now. Like, I wanted to get my tequila segment going right now, but we're going to wait.
We'll still get it. We'll get there.
One more week to get that going here. Or maybe, we'll see about that. But
your boy's not sipping on any tequila though.
Well, I know you'd rather be more bourbon whiskey, but I'll convert you. I promise on that.
I don't know about that.
So icebreakers and then new segments. Love to see it. Hate to see it. We each have some topics we're going to run through that have just happened, whether it's sports, culture, whatever it may be. It's self-explanatory. We either loved it or we hated it. And then we're going to close up with some questions and hear me out. And that's it. For any of you guys out there, if you have thoughts, concerns, discussions, you know, I don't even, you know, we posted some things, everyone's out there, whatever's on your mind, let us know.
Yeah.
This is your time to shine. And we want to talk about it. Then we're going to wrap it up and talk about what we're going to do for next episode. Brad, how did I do okay there?
Yeah, I think you did all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're tightening it up. I told you before the show, I was like, if this feels like it's much tighter than the last, and we didn't even do bad on the first one. I just feels like we're getting in a groove. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I did want to shout out some people that are tuning in. Lisa, I see you. Ash as well. Run with Brad's got a great name hanging out here too. If you guys want to shout us out or put in a comment down there below, we certainly would appreciate it. Again, as Ryan had said, the Hear Me Out segment, I just wanted to clarify, it's more of kind of like a hot take. So we want to hear your hot takes as well. It doesn't have to be sports related. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Ryan's actually isn't. So it'll be very interesting to see how it goes.
Well, we will see how that goes. But yeah, appreciate everyone's support. You know, we're going to keep this thing going, but why don't we just dive into it? Enough beating around the bush here. All-Star Game festivities.
Yes.
I thought overall was exciting.
Yeah.
Back in Seattle.
Right.
You know, it's funny. They were saying about Seattle, oh, it's been so long coming back. And that kind of touches Orioles fans because the Camden Yards last hosted an All-Star Game in 1993.
Yeah.
Seattle's last All-Star Game was 2001, which I'm aware. That was my dad's final All-Star Game. There was a little Ryan running around. But yeah, Brad, just opening thoughts of it. What did you like? What didn't you like? Or was there anything that really caught your eye?
Yeah, I thought it was actually really good. And I thought the whole, between the home run derby, between the All-Star Game, I thought it was really good. And honestly, you know, baseball's been criticized for a lot of things. But I think one thing that they've done really well, better than any other professional sports, at least in America, is their all-star event, right? Yeah. Like NBA is there, like, but the slam dunk contest has certainly lost a lot of luster. And I don't know how many people actually watch the NBA All-Star Game anymore. We don't even need to talk about how bad the NFL's, you know. Pro Bowl is. It's more like an accolade than an actual event.
Well, now it's not even. They just got rid of everything.
Right.
Like it's non-existent, and that's been a constant battle. But to your point, the All-Star Game, baseball, there feels like there's more things. The two events growing up was for me home run derby.
Yep.
And then for the other All-Star Game was the NBA dunk contest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the NBA dunk contest trying to take a step back. I didn't know how I felt about the home run derby change to the 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but I think for the excitement level,
yeah,
I think that's good. I think there should be some tweaks there. You know, the fact that Julio Rodriguez hits 41 jacks, and then that's an unbelievable spectacle.
But then wears himself out.
Yeah, and he's done. Adley Rutschman.
Yeah. Yeah. The Adley Rutschman thing was awesome, by the way. Like, he hit 27 homers, and it would have actually advanced him had he not been going up against who he was going up against. But that whole thing was great. I wanted to ask you this. Pat McAfee went on his show and made the argument that dads or just anybody pitching in general shouldn't be part of the home run derby anymore. And, you know, acknowledging that he appreciates the sentiment behind the whole thing. Obviously, Adley Rutschman's dad was out there. He flew out to Central Park to throw long balls to his wife to warm it up. And which, by the way, his dad did a pretty damn good job.
Awesome
I
job.
thought there were some pretty bad pitchers out there. Mookie Betts, whoever he had pitching to him, was not good. So like there's the argument for that, but it's your responsibility as the person who's invited to make sure that you have a good pitcher, right? But he was making the argument that maybe it should be like a pitching machine or something like that to make it more, I guess, competitive. But I don't know. You start doing those types of things, and it does take away from the event, in my opinion, I think.
Yeah, no, you want to keep the human element. And this is why, in some cases, even though it's more home runs, I think people think it's going to be more exciting, which, hey, who doesn't like seeing a ball get jacked out? Right. But, you know, the one most impressive one, like people go back to, I mean, you talked about, people show the Ken Griffey Jr. hitting the warehouse. It feels
every
like
time.
Every single time that the All-Star game comes up in its home run derby, whammy, there's Ken Griffey Jr. hitting. Oh, he hit the warehouse. No way. I just saw that for the 300th time. Yeah. Incredible feat. I'm not knocking that. Josh Hamilton, when it was 10 outs, yes, meaning you had to be very particular. And yeah, that took longer. Yeah. But he hit 28 home runs with only being able to have 10 balls not leave the yard. Right. So like that to me is still an element that would be interesting, because in the first round too, the only reason with the Derby that if I'd want to change, I love the personalities. I love that everyone's excited, but to see Adley's moment, and Adley went 7 of 8 from the right side.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
And then because it's the first round, you have Luis Robert, who is one of the most physically gifted, talented, and funny, or not funny story, quick story about Luis Robert. Got to see him in 2019 to open up the season in high A, and we made sure he was feeling really comfortable. He went deep twice opening night, hit a home run. I think he had 3 home runs in 2 games. I think he had 8 home runs against us in a total of 10 games. So like I saw that power on display, and he was a machine in the first round.
It looks effortless. It kind of reminded me of like old school Chris Davis, who just like didn't look like he was even really swinging the bat, and it just went out.
Yeah,
that's what he looked like.
Yeah, so that's the only thing is because then it was so impressive what Julio Rodriguez did, and the thing is, it really becomes a stamina contest at the end of the day. Is like how can you take your time and relax, but at the same time, you don't know if someone's going to hit 41 home runs, right? Because later as it went, you saw that the numbers started to drop because guys couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, I think that if you went first, that you're at an extreme disadvantage because you have no idea how many homers you need to hit in order to, out homer the next guy, the guy you're going up against.
But even as it goes on, you knew that number was going to drop. Like Vlad won with 25, I believe was the number.
Somewhere around. Yeah.
But again, it becomes who's the least fatigued. But overall, I love the personalities being shown. I love them trying to do more interviews on the field.
Yep.
A hot topic about the game. We'll get into the game highlights in a second. Jerseys.
Yes. Terrible.
You know what? Is it just like because it's seared into our brains that I don't know. I love when a team represented their team, their own team on their jersey. Like and this year the Baltimore Orioles had 4 of those. Like I thought it was the coolest thing when you got to see your team's individual jersey. Would you agree with me on this? If they're going to keep it, would you want to see them keep the home run have the home run derby be the jerseys that were the game and then let the players wear their actual jerseys? Or do you want to see something completely different?
You mean like the jerseys they wore for home run derby being played in the All-Star game?
Yeah, like switch the unis. So what they did,
Yeah.
Adley's wearing the Orioles jersey, like that's
Yep.
great. It's getting all the recognition and it's awesome.
Yeah.
However, then you go to the game and then they're wearing like black pants or whatever they're wearing there, and just it might look cool to some, but to me it takes away from that traditional part of the game. And I just thought it was so cool to be like, hey, my team's on display.
You know, David Algenball brought up a good point here, and I hope I pronounced that right. It says that they're trying too hard and they want to get jersey sales. But like, does anybody actually buy an All-Star jersey? Like, did you have an All-Star jersey like as a kid that were you just like, oh, I want to get that All-Star jersey?
No, well, and mine was a little bit of a different. I will say this, and quick story time for Ryan. My dad's last year, I did have a All-Star game, what they wore for their practices.
Yeah,
and on their practices, it had my name. Had the number 8, but had Ryan on the back, not Ripken. And like I have that jersey. I thought that was really cool.
Different though.
Right. But that was cool for the practice sense.
Yeah.
But for the actual game, no. I'm not into buying that. I'd rather buy the team jersey with an all-star patch on it than whatever it is. Because unless you look closely, I'll be honest, like there's some guys, if you didn't know,
right,
you wouldn't know what team they were on.
No.
At all.
No.
And then you try to look at their hat, and the hats I thought looked cool, but it's still hard to look at.
You could barely see. You could barely tell.
Yeah.
Barely tell at all. Also, I wanted to point out, like you talked about Ken Griffey Jr. They're always putting your Pop's last All-Star game. Every All-Star game. It's every year. They have to feature that. It's the same thing. It's Ken Griffey Jr. and your Pop's last season. Like there was a lot of other things that happened during All-Star games, and I'm not trying to knock your Pops, but it's just like,
you know, you can knock him.
We can knock him. We know A-Rod put you in short. We know you were pissed about it.
Yeah, he got a little awkward about it. Love the guy. he just wanted to go about his business. I called the home run, by the way, but you know who cares what I think when he did it. But let's talk about the actual
did you really?
game. Yeah, I did.
You called the home run at the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's in the stands. It said, he's going deep right here, first pitch, whammy.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Fun fact. But let's talk about the actual game here in Seattle, because even though that's the other thing, it doesn't matter as far as what happens. But I think one of the coolest moments, I thought it was a good competitive game. I kind of wanted to see the home run derby off, though. If it went to extra innings, that's what it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, that would have been awesome.
But unfortunately for Orioles fans, Batista gave it up in the 8th.
Yes.
Because now you got me confused with Mike Elias.
Elias
Diaz. Cool moment for those that don't know about Elias Diaz. He represented the Colorado Rockies in the All-Star game, and every team has to have someone represent their the team for the National League and the American League, and to have that moment against one of the best closers in the game was a really cool. I thought it was a really cool moment for him.
Yeah,
and especially his story of bouncing around, didn't sign for much, and all of a sudden he has a chance to make such a big impact.
Yeah. Some of these plays that were made though too, like
the first two outs of the game.
First 2 outs of the game were ridiculous. We're absolutely ridiculous, as you guys can see here. Hey Cole, I think Cole threw 9 pitches.
Yeah, something like that.
That's something crazy. So there were some really cool moments in the game itself. But overall, I mean, I thought it was great. I think that honestly, this is probably one of the best seasons for baseball in general. All the rule changes that took place, I think, has made the game more fun. And yeah, I didn't see that the ratings were down for the All-Star game, but I think that's just going to get better.
The ratings were down specifically with the broadcast was the points that came out. But I felt, and I think that's the same thing you brought up with other All-Star games.
Yeah,
I think people tune in more to the festivities than they do the actual event.
Yeah,
just because. Or you might tune in for a little bit of the game because you're just trying to see your player.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the debate. One thing I wanted to bring up though, a moment there was Gurriel's home run. That wasn't a home run. And I don't know if people saw that ball hit down the line and it called it fair. They reviewed it, reversed it, and everyone kind of held their breath. It was such an interesting moment, but there was a lot of moments in this game that happened that at least made things memorable. Juan Soto's talking to the broadcast crew and then he hits a ball, the ball's hit right over his head and he has to be involved in the play.
Right.
Like I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm happy with it. But yeah, those unis.
Yeah.
Except it looks good on Ohtani, but that's just Ohtani.
The only way you'd be able to tell is by looking at their sleeve, essentially.
But see, here's the thing for me. Unless you follow the game so religiously, you're not going to realize who everyone is.
Well, that's just it. Like if you have somebody who doesn't know baseball or hasn't watched a whole lot of baseball, you have no idea who's on what team.
Right. And I think that's where baseball's trying to showcase more of their premier players. So like you're going to know who Shohei Ohtani is.
Yeah.
If you're from Seattle, you're going to know who Julio Rodriguez is, or then like Vlad Guerrero Jr. winning. Like you're going to know some of those guys. But the other all-stars, it might be hard to, figure out.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's I thought overall, but the moment for Diaz to me was one of the coolest because again, imagine you've been waiting, you're hoping for a chance, your team, the Colorado Rockies, you're not having a good season, and then you go in there and unfortunately it was against Felix. But
yeah, he is where is that? I'm trying to find the
it's good. We don't have, you know what? Oh, there's the foul ball home run, by the way.
Yeah.
And hey, he's selling it. They're excited.
Yep.
But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But it was overall, I think a pretty good product for Major League Baseball. There's another thing that happened with Felix Bautista, which we can touch on later.
Well, let's just get into it now.
Oh, would you?
Yeah.
Oh, you have it ready to go?
I got it ready to go. Yeah. So if you guys didn't catch this, what ended up happening was there was is he like a reporter, a radio personality, something like
that? It's a radio personality. And I feel like if anyone that's watching this is an Orioles fan and you didn't know what happened, you might be under a rock because even for me, I saw so many things blew up. I mean, I think his actual tweet right now, if we look at it, has almost 5 million or over 5 million views.
4.8. Yeah.
So the context of it was a reporter asked Felix Bautista if it was right for the Orioles, correct me if I'm wrong, your social media would brand him as King Felix, which I've never really actually paid attention to that.
Well, so here's the thing. So what happened was that the Orioles tweeted out, I don't even remember what game it was, a King Felix reference. Right.
Yeah.
And so if you guys don't know, obviously Felix Hernandez is near and dear to Seattle's heart because they have nothing else to hang their hat on other than Felix Hernandez and Ken Griffey Jr., of course. But, you look at this. And so like, I guess there were some fans that took offense to that. And the specific reporter basically went up to Felix Bautista and kind of confronted him about it. And it was kind of a dick move just because of the way that he, presented it. And here, just go ahead and take a listen real quick.
Hey, Felix, what do you think of the Orioles calling you the new King Felix?
I don't know.
Would you rather have him stop that? Does that belong to Felix Hernandez?
Yeah.
It does. Okay, so do us a favor as Mariner fans. Tell the Orioles social media team to knock it off, will you? Thank you.
Like, what a douchebag. Like, you have 5 seconds to talk to Felix Bautista, arguably one of the best, if not the best closers in the league right now. His comeback story, or his come up story, has been incredible. Lots of good things going on with Felix. And that's the thing that you want to talk to him about. It's just like, and this guy's name is, by the way, he calls himself this, Dave Softy Muller. His little nickname is Softy.
Honestly, for me, I didn't comment on it. I didn't have any, didn't like anything. Because also, whether you like it or not, he got what he wanted. He got views.
Yeah.
He got people to talk about it. I mean, everyone has made this much of a big deal about it that it blew it up.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know. I didn't want to give it that attention to it because I don't want to give that credit to it. I do not blame him for that because that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Right. You want to have something that's going to be reactive. People are going to say something. Having said that, let's just start from the beginning here. I can guarantee you for a fact, Felix, because of the language barrier and being caught off guard, probably only understood less than 5% of what he actually told him.
Right.
Because when
it did look like he was kind of confused or like
Absolutely
Didn't know what he was talking
love
about.
Felix.
Yeah.
He English
his
is
body
not his first language.
Yeah, his
and he's
body,
trying
body
to learn.
language, you could tell.
And when you're caught off guard initially, how many times do you miss something that's being spoken and then you don't really know what's being said? So first off, he probably has no idea what he said.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is why this type of gotcha media is why athletes hate some media reporters.
Yep.
Like you wonder why that there are so many people that have a distrust with athletes. It's moments like this where they're waiting for the athlete to do something to mess up, to capitalize on it. And for me, that ticks me off because at the end of the day, especially now that I'm getting in the media, and I have to even, and I know that my teammates, people know that I don't care about chasing the clout of it.
Right.
I care about my relationships, but that's an example of doing something in your best interest. Dave did something in his best interest that was not for the player. It was embarrassing for the player, but the player's going to be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that guy again.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the type of thing where people, and that's kind of why I wanted to get involved in media now is I don't like the crap. We talked about this. I don't want to give you something that's fluff. I don't want to give you something that is unrealistic. I want to try to be honest, organic, authentic, and not gotcha, because the gotcha to me is tiring.
Yeah.
It's a tired look. And also at the end of the day, you look more like an ass than you do looking like an actual journalist.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that's and honestly, I think that's why a lot of corporate media is also struggling. There's a lot of reasons why I think corporate media is struggling, but that's certainly one of them. That I will say, thank you, Mariners fans. There's a lot of comments in there that said that they don't claim him, that apparently he's just in general a douchebag.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's always one thing. It's one fan or one person can change the whole outlook for a certain group. And I mean, I hope the best for the M's. Like that was one of my favorite teams, actually. That's not the Orioles.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, because I want them to do well.
Yeah.
And I actually thought they'd be doing better than they are right now. We'll get into some predictions of things moving forward. But I think overall, to close it out, besides the squabble, All-Star game, kudos to you. Let's get that All-Star game. You know, maybe something could be in the works in the future. But moving in, because there are some things to talk about. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah. So I just wanted to stick on Felix Bautista for a little bit. And just because
that's right.
Brad's stat of the week is Felix's blown saves. And Felix, so basically blew a save. He did, not basically. He blew a save in the All-Star game. Obviously throwing that homer to Elias Diaz. But that's not the only big game he's blown. So if you look at Felix, he's had 23 saves this year, and he has blown the Seattle Mariners game that we played against them on June 24th. Then before that, he blew the game against the Yankees, which was another big series, obviously. Then blew another game against the Braves. These are all playoff contenders. Probably going to see them in the postseason. And so my question is this a problem for Felix? Like, is he going to struggle in the big games, and what's it going to look like in the postseason? Now, obviously this is a small sample size, but you can't ignore the fact that these blown saves are against some pretty big teams and some pretty big games under the spotlight.
I appreciate your stat, Brad. But I don't believe in the downfall of Felix Bautista with it. I'm not worried about it.
I'm not saying he's going to be
downfall, but I'm going to
right.
disagree on this sense, because the first blown save of the year, if anyone can remember, Ryan McKenna dropped a fly ball, which you thought the world ended. And then, so that would end the game. Next batter hits a home run.
Yeah.
It happens,
Yeah.
right? And everyone could say, oh, Felix should get the next guy out. Well, he got the guy out. It happens. I told people before, you're going to make mistakes. It happens. Guy made a good swing.
Yeah.
Yankees, power versus power. Aaron Judge is the guy that did the damage in that one to tie the game. The Orioles ended up losing that one. The Braves, the ghost runner on second base for me changes the entire complexity, because he's starting on second. And in that case, I can live with that. So really, to me, the two moments were the Mariners and the Yankees. And
the All-Star game.
But again, I'm not worried about the All-Star game.
But there's pressure there, is there not?
But the pressure is because you want to do well there. It's your first All-Star game.
Yeah.
But as far as the magnitude of it, I can tell you what, and this is what makes Felix Bautista so good. He doesn't care.
Right.
Oh, you gave it up. Okay. I'm just going to go strike you out 3 more times moving forward. And if people heard me talk about Felix, you know how demoralizing it is for a hitter when you know kind of what the pitcher's going to throw. He's got 2 pitches he really throws. He has a third, but he mainly throws fastball splitter. And he can throw his fastball right down the middle of the plate, and you're still not going to touch it.
Right.
You know, his home runs he's given up, he's hung some splitters. But overall, Felix is arguably the best closer in baseball. And so when you know what's coming, you can't do anything, nothing just takes their soul right out of you like that. So I'm not worried about Felix long term, but I will say for the Orioles going to the playoffs, there isn't a lot of experience pitching wise. And that's something where you hope that you can have the nerves because those moments are going to intensify when the playoffs happen. But I'm not really concerned with Felix per se.
So there you have it. That's Brad's stat of the week.
Brad's stat of the week.
Both of our opinions. Let us know what you think in the comments about that, though. Did you know that a lot of those games were blown saves in big games? Does that concern you? Does it not? Which camp are you in? Let us know. Also, hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so on YouTube. If you're watching over on Twitter, of course, hit that heart as well. We certainly would appreciate it. If you're visiting for the first time, we certainly would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button as well. What you got?
That I was just saying, like, yes.
Oh, I thought you were getting ready to
Press it.
say something.
I'm not really good at doing that type of stuff, you know, so you can mix
You'll
it
get
in
used to
for
it. You'll
me.
get used to the calls to action.
Calls the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your Brad's got we got Brad's stats. We might have Brad's tips coming with how to do things on a day-to-day or show-to-show basis. But moving into kind of baseball, we're going to wrap up with baseball, but trade discussions.
Yes.
There's this whole discussion about Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, let's just preface with this clip here because we don't need to say anything yet. Just listen to this.
Coming in hot if they do. Freddie, was that you?
This is me. Hey, guys.
Hi, Freddie.
I can hear you guys now.
Hi, Freddie.
Hi, Mook. I like you in the outfield.
All right, so that last one was pretty clear. A lot of the Seattle Mariners fans were saying, "Come to Seattle" when Shohei Ohtani came up. Go.
I mean, the people want Shohei. Who doesn't want Shohei on their team for a second? Like, is there one team
No.
that doesn't?
No.
And of course, but that just seems the Seattle, it's a division rival. They're really going to have to, if they wanted him, they're going to have to do something very, very, not saying unlike them, but to do it to give it your opponent an advantage, the Angels, you got to get something you really love. And it'd have to probably be prospects.
But do you care at this point though, if you're the Angels? Like, what if you just traded him as kind of like in like a for rent type of situation in which like you make the trade, you at least get something that you know you're going to get something out of it because like you probably don't have the money to give Shohei what he wants at this point. Shohei has already expressed through his translator that he's tired of losing. Now the Angels are 1 game under 500.
And Mike Trout is out.
So the hopes of going to the playoffs are probably slim to none.
Yeah.
So do you, as the Angels GM, trade him, at least get something for him?
Yeah.
And then maybe attempt to get him back in the offseason next year?
You think the Angels get him back?
Or at least make the attempt.
Yeah, I mean, he ain't coming back to the Angels unless they make so many drastic changes. But that team just
so then if you feel that way, and I would say most people feel that way, and the GM has to feel that way. So why wouldn't you try to trade him and at least get something for sure?
I think there's talks being out there that he doesn't want to be the GM that trades the best player, quote unquote, ever.
But then you look like the dumbass that didn't do anything.
I'm with you. I think if you don't have a plan for Shohei to stay with you long term and your team's falling out of the race and Trout being out, and I just hate the 2 of the best players in the world. They're
on a losing team.
Well, and like the Angels are still in it, but it just hurts that you have 2 of the best players that everyone wants to see in the big games, and you're not seeing it. And right now, the Angels are going to have an uphill battle just with how strong the American League, especially the AL East.
Yep.
Then the AL West is heating up. AL Central is a woof, but that division is not very good right now. So I would think you'd want to get something for him, but I don't blame it because he does bring so much positivity to the organization.
But you're going to have him for the last half of the season. That isn't going to go anywhere. So like, it's going to
I would think if it's going to
be depressing no matter what.
The team that trades for him either has to have the opportunity or the thought that they're going to sign him long-term, or it's going to be the most expensive rental in the history of Major League Baseball.
I agree. But the correlation that I draw to that is the Dodgers taking Manny Machado for rent for that year. And they made a run to the World Series that year. They lost, of course. Then the Padres picked him up. but they at least Manny was a difference maker for that postseason. So I think that there's certainly a scenario in which we could see something like that shape up potentially.
It could. And there's a lot of people that are saying that the two teams, there are people saying Seattle, and I laughed because I don't know if this can pop up with old Tater Tots, but him saying about how excited he would be that he would go streaking across the field in Seattle.
I just saw that.
I honestly, I want that to happen now for Shohei to do it.
Yeah.
But to Brad's point about having a sponsor, the Yankees got a sponsor, by the way, on the pinstripes. We can even touch on that. But the Yanks just seem like that would be the team. If they're changing things up, which we're going to dive into, because that was another move the Yankees just made with the hitting coach. Wouldn't the New York Yankees a spotlight? If Judge comes back, you have Garrett Cole, Ohtani can do both. Again, I don't know where it fits because Stan DHs, and you have a lot of guys that don't have a lot of positions, but you feel like Ohtani there, that's a team that could try to sign him long-term. So that's where it kind of sits, just whatever it is. And selfishly, and then we're talking about for the growth of the game of baseball, get Ohtani to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Get the dude in the biggest moment, because right now, and he understands that, he's not there, but also on the business side, he wants his money. He wants his bank, and teams are going to be, there's probably only going to be 3, 4, maybe 5 teams that realistically can say we can have a chance to sign him long-term, and we're willing to give up anything for him right now.
I mean, you're essentially getting 2 players in one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. And that's potentially what his market could be.
You're getting a top 10 pitcher and then the best offensive hitter in the league.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, but leading into that, talking about, I think, we'll touch on the trades as it gets more down the road, but talking about a team that could be interested was the New York Yankees. The Yankees made a move.
Yeah.
Sean Casey, former MLB player. He has his own show, The Mayor's Office, I think is what it goes by. And Sean is now being hired as the New York Yankees hitting coach, trying to bring some spark. For those that don't know about Sean, he's one of the most positive guys and brings so much energy and enthusiasm and really knows what he's talking about. And the Yankees kind of desperately need that. So actually I thought it was a great move, but it's very unlike the Yankees too, to make a move mid-season. But it just shows you kind of the stress and desperation and tension that was building in the Bronx, which I know no one in Baltimore is feeling sorry for them.
Yeah, nobody's crying any tears down here.
No.
I was, it's kind of interesting the way that the Yankees have been playing this year. There's still question marks as to whether or not they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, even if they even make it at this point. So, which is kind of mind blowing considering they have some pretty good players on their team. I mean, obviously Stanton's still on there and what have you, but it's just, and who knows what happened. When's Aaron Judge due back?
It hasn't been decided yet.
If he's coming back.
Well, I mean, and I do think if the Yankees are in the hunt, he's gonna come back. But if he's not, he's gonna shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, and people talking about having a torn ligament in your toe, especially with the amount that you have to do.
Yeah.
That really hinders you. But without Aaron Judge back, this team looks different.
Yes.
Completely. But here we are, and the Yankees are, as much as people don't love it, in Baltimore at least.
Well, the whole division's in it, let's be honest.
But they're all in it, but that's the thing. The Yankees are sitting at 49-42, and their offense has been in a rut. Their pitching actually has been very good.
Yeah, defense is good too.
So Sean Casey could be that spark. And honestly, it feels like this is Aaron Boone for me. This is either this team makes a change and they continue to move, or this could be Aaron Boone's final year.
He's on the hot seat for sure.
So it's an interesting dilemma.
Yep.
Curious to see it, but I really like Sean Casey as a guy. I want to see him have success. I know that's not what Oriole fans want to hear, but when you get in the business and you're along for the ride for a long time, you start rooting for people.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends with different organizations, and you want to see your hometown team do well, but man, these are these guys' jobs. And also there's a lot of good people out there. Good people, good food. A little bit of we'll end with the predictions for the MLB segment, but I want to talk about strength of schedule for a second, because I don't think this is something that's really big. Does anyone want to take a guess who has the hardest strength of schedule for the remainder of the season?
I'm going to go out on a whim and say it is the Baltimore Orioles.
That is correct. Spanish Armada, 15.
How did I know that? Ask me how I knew.
How'd you know that, Brad?
You told me.
You're darn right. So the Orioles, this next month, actually, this stretch after the All-Star break, you look at it ending the month of July, all teams with winning records. The Marlins, the Dodgers, you got the Yankees, the Blue Jays. This is some tough teams, ladies and gentlemen, and they've done a great job so far, but this is going to be the stretch here. Can the Orioles continue to push through? Because it is a very, very challenging schedule. And if you're around, go to the yard. Go to the yard this weekend.
Yep.
The Marlins might be one of the most feel-good stories of the season. They're 14 games over 500.
Yeah.
And they're playing some really good baseball. And they have a guy, by the way, Luis Ariz, who's trying to chase 400.
A stud. I don't think he's going to actually hit 400 by the end of the season, but like he's a stud. I mean, just unbelievable.
They're doing a lot of good things down there in Miami. So I just want people to understand that this next month for the Orioles, people have asked me about it for a while. What's going to happen here? Well, if the Orioles can get through this and they're feeling good, I really extremely like the chances of the Orioles winning the division.
Yeah.
But you got to take care of business here coming out of the gate, because once August hits, they call it the dog days for a reason. It is brutal. Have you seen how hot it is outside?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So imagine that, and you still got, half a season left.
Right.
Whammy. And final thing, then let's do predictions. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, I was just going to mention too, like a lot of the losses that the Orioles have taken have been against winning teams. So they're winning the games they're supposed to win. When it comes to the teams that they need to really beat, it's been a bit of a struggle for them. So I mean, we look at the obviously the Braves, and then Tampa Bay, and then even the Reds, when they came to town, was also a big struggle. So, but then they obviously ripped off 5 games after that. But I just wanted to emphasize that a lot of the losses that they've incurred have been against a lot of these big teams in that schedule. So it is going to be really interesting to see how this all shapes up, because it's going to be a tough schedule. And if they can if they can actually have a winning record, and let's just say they stay at 600 or above at the end of that, it's going to be pretty incredible.
Oh yeah. For me, if they were 500 over the next, I was mistaken with, here's this gauntlet for the Orioles schedule coming up, and then we'll jump into predictions.
Okay.
Marlins, Dodgers,
Yeah.
Rays, Phillies, who are starting to play some really good baseball for people that aren't paying attention there.
Yeah.
The Yankees again are coming to Baltimore, and the game got flexed. Sunday Night Baseball is coming back to Baltimore. Stop traffic. That should be a lot of fun. It's been 5 years, everyone, since baseball's come back to Baltimore on Sunday night.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then after that series, the Orioles go up to Toronto, where then they finally play. Then after that series, a team with a losing record, and that is the New York Mets.
And that's how far away?
And that's on August 4th. So the Orioles' next series.
For the next 2 weeks, they're playing winning baseball teams.
That is correct.
So
that stretch of 2 weeks right there is going to be a very big telltale sign, because you're still going to have to play your division. Yeah, so you're still going to have to play your division. And then you get teams like Oakland again. You're playing the Padres, who, again, I think the Padres could turn it on at any minute. It's not they don't have the talent.
They got the personnel, yeah.
You got to play Seattle. You got to play the Diamondbacks later in the season. So point being, love what the Orioles are doing. I have utmost belief in them and in the team, but there's a lot of work left to be done.
Right.
And it's okay. If they can play, for me, if they're 500 over the next 2 weeks, I think that's a win.
Agreed.
I think that's incredible, and I think they'll be in great position.
Agreed. Hey, we appreciate the 6 of you guys that are watching the stream so far.
Shout out to 6.
We do appreciate it. We'll remember you folks that are watching us now, a year from now, when we have a lot more than 6 that'll be watching the show. And for those of you who are watching, if you're visiting for the first time, make sure you give us a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And let's get into some predictions. So, we got through the first half of baseball, and it's always fun to do, who's going to win the World Series, who's going to make the playoffs. But I think, a more deeper conversation will be like, who wins the divisions? Who wins their division in baseball towards the end of the year? Obviously, we can make some wild predictions on who wins the series, but I mean, at the end of the day, you got wild card teams now that are making the dance. So it's anybody's game. But who's actually going to get there to have a chance?
Would you like to kick off the American League or me?
I can kick off the American League.
Let's go through the three division winners.
Yeah. So right now, I just lost my spot. Right now, the standings. Damn it. Shoot. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, great. I will kick it off. Thanks, Brad. Anyway, in the American League Central, I still like the Minnesota Twins. And I like what the Guardians. The Guardians are really that was a team I thought would take the big leap so far because they were a young team that kind of struggled early on this season. Every team in the AL Central struggling, but the Twins, and I look to the pitching. The Twins pitching, besides the Orioles, just absolutely demolishing them.
The starting pitching in particular.
They're in the top 4
Yeah.
in all of baseball. So I like to look at the pitching. Guys that they expect to do more haven't been doing it so far, like Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa. Some of their big acquisitions, or Buxton's been there for a while, but I mean, their guys that they were relying on aren't doing their job. So I'd like to believe that the Twins, I trust maybe the Guardians organization, but I think the Twins upside wins that division. I think, and this could be different, I think Houston comes back and wins the AL West. They're hot. It's just a team that's been there before. The Rangers just went through their rut. Can they hold them off? I have my doubts about that because everything was going so well for Texas.
Yeah.
And they are sitting now only 2 games up. And finally, I'm going to go with the hometown Birds. I even though I know it's challenging, I think the Orioles can win the American League East. And the biggest reason is their ability to win games away from Camden Yards. They're actually a better road team than they are a home team. Fans, you should take that personally. You should get out there more. So then they have that more excitement. I'm just kidding. It happens, but go out there and support the team. Point is, it is so hard to win on the road.
Yeah.
And the Orioles are 11 games over 500 on the road. The Rays, who are unbelievable at home, 20 games over at the Trop, they're just 3 games over 500 on the road. That could be a problem down the stretch for Tampa if they're having trouble winning games away from their home ballpark.
Well, the crazy part to me, and this can't be overstated. I know everybody who is into baseball, and especially you, Ryan, know how close the AL East is. But it's just crazy. You put any team in the AL East and the other divisions, and that includes National League, and they're contending or they're winning the division.
Yeah.
Every team in the AL East has a winning record. I don't think there's another division, and I have to double check that has it. So
we don't even have to.
Yeah, there's 10 games spreading the first place and last place, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah, the last place Boston Red Sox are 48 and 43.
Yeah.
9 games back.
Right.
And so that's why, for people that are wondering, the Orioles splitting the series with New York was so massive for so many reasons because it kept New York at bay.
Yeah.
But to your point, the AL East is a gauntlet for a reason, and those teams are going to be in the race. But give me some of your what do we got? Who's winning the AL for you?
Yeah. So who's winning the AL?
Sorry, who is winning the divisions?
So National League, Reds are at 50-41. Brewers are right behind them. I think the Brewers could actually pull it out. Listen, the Reds are electrifying. They're a ton of fun to watch, but nobody's talking about the Brewers, and I think that they're just sneaky good, and not a lot of people are talking about them. And I think that there's a lot of potential there. They have also good pitching as well. They didn't have a great their last 10 games were 6-4 going into the All-Star break. Not as good as the Reds, obviously, but I think coming out here, as you had mentioned, there's a lot that can happen. We have a whole other half of baseball to go, and I think the Brewers certainly could have some potential there as far as taking that division.
Well, and you know who's playing each other right out of the break tomorrow night?
The Brewers and the Reds.
The Brewers and the Reds, and they just played each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, by the way, that series was electric. That was the one Ellie De La Cruz stole home, stole second, third, and home, just absolutely bananas. But I'm kind of with you on the Brew Crew on that. It could be that's going to be a very tight division to watch. What do you got for the other two?
So then next I have Braves. Obviously, I mean, you mentioned the Marlins are good, but the Braves are the best team in baseball, in my opinion. I actually think they could win the World Series probably pretty easily if they don't screw anything up.
They've been the best team in baseball the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I nothing changes for me there. So it's a really easy call. Braves all the way for the NL East. And then finally, the Dodgers are leading right now. The Diamondbacks are sneaky good too. Diamondbacks are 2.5 games back.
D-backs are tied with it. The Giants are 2.5 back.
Sorry, yes, they're tied 2.5 back. This is really tough. This is another close division. I'm gonna have to go Dodgers, I guess, especially if the Dodgers make a pull for Shohei Ohtani.
You know, that would be. See, that's a team that if you're talking about it doesn't care about rentals because they're just like luxury tax thing, this or that.
Right.
Let's just go get a guy because why not? I kind of lean Dodgers, but I'm not going to say. I'm going to say don't sleep on the Giants in that division.
Okay.
I love what the D-backs are doing.
Yeah.
but I think that they're still young. I think they're going to go through some hiccups. They've had a great season. I just don't believe for the longevity of the year that they're going to come out of this being the NL West winners. The Giants, there's something that they're doing over there that has always been good. So if there's one team to challenge the Dodgers, I'd say it'd be the Giants and the Bravos. Yeah. The Braves they're on a different level.
They are.
It's not even. I mean, maybe the best thing for everyone else in Major League Baseball is that the Braves had to rest during the All-Star break. Like honestly, they've been that good, and we were talking initially about how good the Tampa Bay Rays were to start off the year.
Yeah,
the Atlanta Braves are the team that everyone needs to be talking about. Yeah, because that team historically, this could be a historic baseball team that no one's fully appreciating right now.
A dynasty for sure.
Yeah, well, they could. They got to win another one here. So that covers MLB updates.
Yeah.
And as always, everyone, we appreciate everyone that's still tuning in right now. Shout out everyone. If I do this correct from Brad, you can hit the like button, subscribe button. We're going to try to continue to add more and more onto this each and every week. Have certain guests in the future that are going to be lined up, maybe doing it from different locations. Changing it up as we get more comfortable with everything. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm comfortable in the seat.
Yeah.
Comfortable with the setup, Brad.
Feeling good, man.
Yeah. Shall we get into a little bit of some special case updates?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to shout out and give some love to our viewers here. Chris H, just to wrap it up, says key to it all, gentlemen, players staying healthy at this point, going to August and September. I think it's really key for some of the teams that are on the bubble for sure. Not so much for the Braves. I think, unless they lose some really big players, that's not going to be a thing. And then Run with Brad said Braves are my team. So anyways, just wanted to comment.
And Lisa's got the O's and Braves as her World Series prediction.
Could happen. Can't rule it out.
I mean, right now, those are two of the top three teams in baseball.
Yep.
Why not?
Yep.
Why not see what happens? Yeah, see, Brad, I like the lighting too in here. It's nice. I thought it was a little bit dark initially, but it illuminates. It illuminates, and there's actually so much room for activities back here. It's unbelievable.
We have an NBA Jam in the back. We also got a ping pong table. It's just all kinds of stuff.
Well, if we can learn how to set that up and live stream NBA Jam, I'm so in on that. But do some special events. So every year, this time of year, they do the ESPYs for a reason. And if people that didn't know, it is because it's the time where none of the major sports have games going on.
Right.
That's why they try to host the ESPYs at that time. And really cool event, actually, of what happened. Interestingly enough, I think Kevin Hart was supposed to MC the event, but because of the protests with the writers, he said, no, sir, I'm going to stick with the writers here and sit it out.
Yeah.
So then newly signed Pat McAfee was the unofficial, one of the unofficial kind of hosts per se for that night, which I thought was great. But really the moment of the entire night, and this is the moment that we were going to talk about, is with DeMar Hamlin. For everyone, if you watch that game with Buffalo and Cincy back in the regular season, you kind of remember where you were when that happened.
Yeah.
And to see the emotion from DeMar Hamlin up there, and then for them to present the Pat Tillman Service Award to the Buffalo Bills training staff.
Yeah.
I thought was I'm getting a little bit of a little choked up here. I'm not going to cry on this thing. But
episode 2.
I just the emotion of how much it means to him.
Yeah.
And how grateful he is and for all the support.
For sure.
Enough of me babbling. What do you got so I can take a minute?
Is it a little dusty in here?
It is. It might be. It is allergy season. I swear.
No, I thought it was good too. I thought Pat did a really good job as a stand-in. He actually had a little dig on Kevin Hart, just making short jokes, and then of course making the jokes about just him and Stephen A. being what's left of ESPN.
The only talent they have left there at ESPN, right? I mean, because they're both paying them probably like $100 million combined between the two. Unbelievable.
A year, right?
Maybe that'll be us someday, right? We'll see what happens. But whammy. But I thought
looking at you, DraftKings.
Yeah. sponsors potentially.
Yeah, right.
We do have some things in the works there. For anyone actually that's wondering, if you have any inquiries, please hit us up.
Yeah.
We have had our phone lines open so far with some things in the works.
Yeah.
But to close out with that, I thought that was really cool. I will say this: the ESPYs, it's not really an event that people are going to really tune into because you want to watch your sports, right? So maybe that's your night off. Maybe you don't know what to do with yourself. But I will say that moment specifically shows you why sports there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And really that life can be fragile. Things aren't always guaranteed, but when you're able to take a moment and appreciate what you have, and what's capable and what's out there, I think that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
So I thought fantastic job. Let's get off this subject so I don't have to get my emotions going too much. What do we got next?
We're getting a little more serious now. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Northwestern fiasco. So if you guys didn't catch it, if you're not, you must not be in the sports or live under a rock, one of the two. But Pat Fitzgerald got fired after being suspended for 2 weeks on allegations of hazing that went on at Northwestern, which was done by their own is the newspaper journal. The journalists over at Northwestern did this investigation and they investigated 11 players, interviewed 11 players who, talked about hazing that went on for years. And it was kind of weird, some of the things they did as far as the hazing was concerned, but a lot of it was sexual in nature, lots of like nudity involved and whatever else. And then Pat Fitzgerald, of course, said that he had no idea that any of that was happening. And actually there was some people that came up to his defense and said that, he didn't know. But at the same time, it's like, how do you not know when you're the head coach of a football team or any team in that regard? And obviously you have experience in dealing with coaches and whatever, and maybe you can kind of speak to like things that you did behind the coach's back, but you set the tone, you set the culture in that and for your team. And so it's just kind of like, at the end of the day, you're responsible. The right call was made as far as letting him go. But I think actually just given the fact that if he didn't truly know, and I think that, America obviously is full of second chances, I think he does end up land a coaching spot somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a different world now where everything can be found out, everything that can be tracked, something that's going on. And honestly, coaching styles, philosophies, in this case, hazing, things that were considered okay 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever it may be, you can go back, maybe even as early as 5 years ago. It's not the case anymore. And what's the line from Remember the Titans? It's, attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's not saying anything with him if you didn't know, but the leadership is always the one that is going to fall.
Yeah.
Because it is your responsibility of running the ship, that even if you don't know, you are the fall guy because it is your program, it is your team. And I've seen a lot of things. I saw some reports saying guys were really frustrated on the team that he got fired. But at the same time, it's understanding where we are at this world. And this is a Power 5 school.
Yeah.
It's a very good school. And especially with all the issues that have already happened so far in college athletics or in professional sports, where this situation is going to be magnified, it's going to fall on the head coach.
Well, these types of things also create, mental instability, especially among players. One of them mentioned that they got PTSD from it, which is pretty terrible. But also the other thing is too, I mean, and you may have some insight on this, you may not, but like, if I'm the freshman that's getting hazed, right? I'm made to do naked bear crawls or whatever hell else they were doing. Allegedly. Like the last thing that I'm going to do, like, if you're a part of a sports team, you're part of a brotherhood. The last thing that I'm going to do after you just got done treating me like that is actually like have your back in a game or in life or otherwise. Like, I'm not going to be about that, bro. It's just not going to happen. Like,
I will say this. I never had that type of hazing growing up, with anything. I had people that, play jokes on us and make things hard or mainly harmless.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a line. There's a line that needs, and I'm again, all for having fun. And I've done my own crazy things, but not in this sense. But I mean, everyone, this crosses the line of it. And that's what it is I think you make a great point is you're what would if you're best friends, if you're in the trenches with those guys, so is this hazing someone like that? Is that going to make you be one of them? Like, no, it should be about what you do in between the lines. What's your work ethic? What are you doing off the field that's going to help you, your teammates, and your program?
Yeah.
Your integrity, how you handle yourself, how you conduct yourself. Not if you can go and do this challenge and that's going to improve your loyalty to the team. To me, that's a load of crap.
Yeah. Had to mention it, had to talk about it, but a couple other things I wanted to address in headline news.
Well, before we go real quick, I did say Brad brought up that they're saying Coach O could be in the mix. You think that that's actually possible?
No, I don't think so.
Especially with him leaving. Is it too early? Does Coach O fit the Northwestern?
I don't know. That would be.
You know what? I'd love to see Coach O down up there in Illinois.
Yeah, he just doesn't strike me as somebody that's going to go that far north.
What's Northwestern's mascot again? I got to look this up. I'm blanking because it's always go Tigers. What would it be then if he hits it with the mascot there? What is it? It's the Wildcats.
Wildcats, yeah.
Go Cats.
I could see that.
I could see the Cats.
I could see that.
I could see the Cats for sure. But it'll be interesting because again, other schools have different priorities about what they do. I just want to make a point of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Next up is the NBA Summer League. It's heating up. I know that you wanted to chat about that a little bit, but and then coming up in just a second, we're also going to talk about Damian Lillard and potential landing spots for him. But what do you think about the Summer League?
Yeah.
Any highlights there?
I don't. Honestly, I will say the fact that now that Victor's been shut down for the Spurs, it's it's funny. He didn't have a great first game. He hadn't played in months, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a bust. He's terrible." Summer League ball. Everyone thought Anthony Bennett, if you remember, with the Cleveland Cavs, was just in some of those games was just demolishing guys, and he turned out to really be, unfortunately, a bust for the Cavs.
Is it just me, or is this the most we've ever heard noise out of Summer League? Because
well, you know what?
Does anybody actually care?
There are some. Well, I mean, it matters for those guys. Those guys.
Well,
are
no.
But
I'm not talking about from a viewership standpoint, from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get more coverage. I mean, it's run on. It's being thrown out there. I mean, I played in a basketball league the other night, and then it was at one of the sports gyms. And inside the gym, instead of the home run derby or anything else was on, it was the Summer League.
Really?
And I'm just like, okay, no offense. I hope these guys ball out and they make the NBA, but let me see some guys hit some tanks into the upper deck here.
Yeah.
The thing that only happens one night out of the entire year.
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing is to understand, or the one point I want to mention, the top players, you want to see what they do.
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh. Yeah,
Britney Spears brought the noise, says wrong with Brad.
That's a whole lot of things.
Maybe that is what brought all the noise to the Summer League.
It might have been, but that's probably, if people didn't know, there was a little incident with Britney Spears and the number one pick, Victor, with the Spurs and with the security guard, not with him specifically.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that's probably caused more of a stir than the actual Summer League.
Yeah.
But it's just cool that you get excited, you get encouraged. I think the biggest thing that I hope for those guys, this is a tryout for a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Like this is them trying to make it. But other than that, we're just gonna have to wait to see. It would have been nice to see some more going, but it is what it is. Honestly, the biggest heat up is Damian Lillard.
Yes.
And
that's what we're talking about in this moment here. Damian Lillard obviously requested a trade. And so I'm kind of happy that he hasn't found a home yet, because I wanted to talk about potential landing spots for Damian Lillard. But I want to get your thoughts first on it. Where do you think he could potentially land?
I'm feeling Miami. I'm feeling the heat.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Jimmy and Dame?
Right.
Like, I'm kind of fired up about that. I really am. And I also love the Heat culture, what they do, what they bring, what they represent.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see the evolution of Eric Spoelstra, the head coach. And Pat Riley's been doing this for a long time. But Spoelstra initially, his first year coach or being the head coach was with having to deal with LeBron coming to South Beach.
Yeah.
Talk about that pressure. And everyone's saying, is he out of his league? LeBron leaves, and what did the Heat continue to do? Been one of the most stable organizations and doing more what it feels like with less.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see it. I think it'd be really cool. That'd be my number one. Do you have a one that in your mind for you?
I have it's going to be before the hear me out segment, but hear me out.
Oh no.
Could he? Is there a
Oh,
world in
no.
which he plays alongside LeBron James? Does he put on a purple and gold?
But then it should be AD, LeBron.
AD,
and-
yeah, and that's your big three, right? But
do they have the money to do that?
I mean, I don't know what has there been any reports on what Lillard's asking for?
No, but it's his contract that he has right now.
But that okay.
So
Okay.
what you
But if he
okay.
wants to win, okay, right? Like if he wants to win,
yeah.
obviously Miami, and I totally agree, could go to Miami. But I mean, it could like the Lakers. The Lakers did good in postseason until they got smoked by the Nuggets because they were just
I mean, yeah, they ran their way into the Western Conference Finals, and you faced the best team.
Right.
You know,
But I still think that they have championship material without Damian, and then you put Damian Lillard in there, and
yeah, but it'd be interesting, Dame going from a place where he felt he wanted to build it himself, didn't want to go join any super team, to then all of a sudden going to a super team like that. I feel like going to Miami, Jimmy still, I feel, doesn't get always the respect until it's playoff time because
No.
it's just Jimmy buckets. But he's such a great player. I think they would fit really well together. That's why. So your number one is you would want him to go to LA.
yes,
Okay, my number one is I want him to go to Miami. That is mine, and I would love to go then and watch more games down in Miami. I will make a reason to go back down to Miami.
so I respect wanting to build something, but he is 32 years old. Just looked it up.
Okay.
So
So you don't think that he can win it?
No, I'm not by
in
him-
Miami?
Not by well, in Miami, yeah, for sure. I think he could. But Miami also wasn't that great of a team going into the playoffs. They just got hot at the right time.
But isn't that what it's kind of all about too?
It is. But when you have superstars, right? Like think about the big teams that have won. Obviously Golden State, of course, but they had nothing but superstars on that team. And then, the Heat when LeBron was down there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the Bulls when they made their dynasty run. So like the great teams had a team full of superstars. Maybe the Heat still does it. And I think obviously with Damian Lillard, it makes them a completely different team, but you got to have a supporting cast of more than just one other guy.
It'd be so cool if he came to the Wizards, but that's just
For what reason?
I want the Wizards to be good again.
Yeah.
I'm living down in DC
They need-
now.
they need
Brad.
more than
I
one
told
guy.
you that. Like I want to be able to go to Capital One Arena.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want the Wiz to be good. I mean, DC, it's a big market. It's not going to happen. He's not going there. And I know that. I understand that. But man, I want the Wiz to be good again. Also, before because I think that's it for our segment for this, correct?
Yes.
I wanted to, with Old Tater Tots asked, though, big fan of this already. What is the schedule for the stream?
Ooh. good
How'd you
question.
miss that, Brad?
I did miss that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I apologize. I'm usually the one that misses everything. That's me. I'm the person.
Listen, I'm trying to run the show
I'm
here.
the one that spills the coffee. I'm the one that caused the problem. I'm the one who there's a lot of things going. I can't, and I'll filter that for right now, but we're going to be unfiltered in a little bit. Schedule. We're trying to do this every Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. That's our ultimate goal. There's one Thursday that will not be at the end of July because my sister's getting married. And so that takes precedence. Sorry to everyone out there on that one.
It's kind of
But
important.
then, it's kind of important, kind of a big deal. So Thursdays is the goal at 7:00. You can find us here at the table, or you might find us at some other places.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about the schedule again, if you could subscribe, if you're just joining us for the first time, I'm messing it up.
No,
Brad.
you're good. You're good.
Help
You're
me,
good.
Brad.
I actually wanted to, we have goals and aspirations and are just continuing to bring you guys a part of the journey. I mean, obviously Thursday nights is when we're available to do this, but we want to turn this into something much bigger than that. Maybe it's a daily show. Maybe it's something that's, at least on more than a once a week basis, but that's eventually what we want to turn it into, something that we actually do full time where we can kind of like table everything else. And this is our thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality is, I think the other thing too is if you'll find with us on here, we're going to be brutally honest and authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. We physically can't do this every night right now.
Right.
We physically can't.
Yeah.
As soon as if this gets some more pop up there, whammy, we got some traction.
Yeah.
You can bet your bottom dollar we will be coming on here, giving you more and more of what you guys want to hear on a consistent basis.
Yep.
We'll be able to do more, add more, and hopefully have some really cool things, which you already have some cool things lined up.
Yeah.
But that's the point. but we want to keep building. But for right now, we're going to at least come at you once a week, always around 7 o'clock is the goal. So just stay tuned. We're going to post it all over social media as well.
Yep.
So no one misses when we're going to be doing this.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to it. So new segments for the show. As we had mentioned at the top of the beginning, we have I love to see it, hate to see it. And this is our new segment. We have another one coming up in just a bit, so you're not going to miss that. Make sure you're staying tuned. But we decided that all the time, like when you one of your favorite baseball teams that just gotten their ass kicked year after year, Yankees, Orioles, right? Orioles are always getting smacked, but sometimes when you see a game that's 14-1, 15-2, whatever it is, you just love to see it.
You love to see it. It's so great.
So we decided that we were going to make a segment based off of that. And Ryan, let's go ahead and kick that off. So there's a couple events that happened over the last week that you just love to see.
Yeah, I'll start with my first love to see it. And unfortunately it ended in the other night. But what I love to see was just how wild the American soccer games have been.
Yeah.
And I don't care that it's the Gold Cup and they were playing Canada and then they played Panama. Those games were electrifying.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I don't know. I missed part of the games, but if you watch the extra time, it was absolutely insane. And I mean, for me, that I love to see because I think for so long, I'm a sports guy. I'm a sports junkie. I want to see more action.
Yeah.
That to me for soccer was a great representation of excitement. And I love to see it. I didn't love that they lost in PKs last night, but I love the fact that the U.S. came back against Canada, didn't give up, win it. And it's just absolute chaos.
Well, also that it's U.S. too, right? Because they're historically not great. And they actually made a splash in the soccer world this year. So it's good. Good to see. What else you got?
You want me to keep going with that or you want to give me a love?
I'll give you a love. So you'd love to see it. Lamar Jackson buying ice cream for little kids. You just love to see it.
Oh, you love to see it. You really, really do.
So if you didn't catch it, I actually was going to pull it up here because, I'm an amazing producer and didn't have that pulled up already. Here it is. There's Lamar Jackson buying ice cream for little kids.
How do people really hate this guy on this case? I can understand that you can say about how his play or what happened last year. I get it, but he does care a lot about the community. I mean, right now, also that ice cream truck,
they banked that day.
Well, what? Yeah, they did. But look at it, those kids are all going to love it. It's hot as hell outside.
They're never going to forget that.
What flavor are you getting though? That's the biggest question.
Ooh, I think when I was a kid, it was always the chocolate eclair bar.
Oh, there you go, Brad.
And the strawberry shortcake.
So, oh wow, you know what? That was a later in life one for me. Was strawberry shortcake. I'll be one because I was obsessed with SpongeBob SquarePants at the time. So they had the SpongeBob SquarePants one and have the gum eyes. I got that every single time for 4 or 5 years. Because for some reason I couldn't find them anywhere else, or maybe my parents knew to not take me to places that had it. So I was there, I'm getting the SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah,
but you gotta love to see that.
Yeah.
Now my turn for a love to see it. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what I love to see? We're gonna stick with the Ravens here.
Yep.
I love to see the wide receivers of the Baltimore Ravens working together in the offseason, putting in time and effort. And I don't know if you have a video with that or not coming up. Well, that's okay. I'm going to keep ranting on. Those are the things you love to see, and especially for everyone that gives Odell Beckham Jr. a lot of heat for, you're saying, whether his antics or being a team guy. I love the fact that he's working with the young guys, trying to help them get better, get people on the same page, and you can feel that something's brewing in Baltimore. Because that's the ultimate goal now. You have the pieces that you feel are there.
Yeah.
Lamar to sign, things are feeling good. And I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to see Zay Flowers. I was so excited to see him before.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get caught up with workouts and all that. But I love the fact that you see someone that's really committed into it. Why wouldn't you get excited about seeing some Ravens guys put in some work before training camp?
Bro, Zay Flowers' abs have abs.
Yeah. Is that how yours look?
No.
The chat. We could have a segment there, or we can.
we don't need to have a segment for that.
Brad's abs.
Or lack thereof. All right. I also love to see. We just got done talking about this, but how long it's been since the Orioles have not hosted an All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been longer since the Mariners. So since 1993, as you mentioned, since Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse, which, by the way, it's crazy to me. Just this little aside, 465 feet is all it took to hit the warehouse. I say that because
Only 450.
okay, but Aaron Judge can hit 500, no problem. So it's just like,
Well,
how has it never happened that nobody else has hit that warehouse?
Because there's a force field around it.
There
Brad.
has to be.
And they brought it down when Ken came to town. Did you know Ken Griffey Jr. hit a home run off the warehouse? Are you aware of that? Are you aware? You brought it up yet again.
I know.
A guy that's like, oh, there's too much. Oh, Cal this, Cal. Cal was in the All-Star game
Again.
Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, yes, Cal did play in a few All-Star games. He played in one. He played in 19.
Did you know that he hit a home run in his last one?
Do you know I know him?
No way.
Crazy. It's crazy. You know what's interesting? I will tell this story. I did a camp the other day and did the camp, and after it, I'm signing a photo. And by the way, there's a photo of me when I was at the Frederick Keys. When I started the 2019 season, I went from the Frederick Keys in high A to double A with the Bowie Bay Sox. But when I was in Frederick, anyway, there's a picture of me handing out to the kids to sign. And initially I asked, do they recognize the kid? Because I had this big old beard.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I don't know who that is. And then they went, oh, that's your dad. Or they go, no, that's your granddad. And I go, like, okay, whatever, it's fine. Like, yep. And so that's me, haha. And then, I thought it was, it was a fun interaction. Then one guy goes, so how are you related to Cal? And I said, well, what do you think if you're out of curiosity? He goes, is that your granddad? Wait a minute. That's your great granddad. And I go, man, I said, if you ever see him, you should ask him that if he's a great granddad. He, I think he got called older, like in a different word recently. And he's like, man, they said all these curse words at me, but the old part's the one that hurt. But it was, I butchered that story. But the point being, everyone, I like to make fun of it with all of it. There's definitely a relationship.
That's hilarious.
With Cal. We've met once or twice. So that's that.
To say all of that, the only reason we even brought this up was because the Orioles are hosting a 2025 All-Star game. They're in the running.
They're in the running for it, and I really hope that they are. And I know that people are worried about the team leaving Baltimore, and that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
We do not. And there's a tweet I threw out today. So Eric, if you're listening to this, you can throw me in the harbor if you can pick me up. There's some doubts if you can pick me up. I just don't see it. I don't see the baseball wants to expand to Nashville. I do know that. The team is not the Baltimore Orioles. No. They want the Orioles to stay in Baltimore. You got Camden Yards. This team's exciting. They're not going to go anywhere. And if anything happens, blame me. I will be the fall guy. I got no problem.
So hold on. They want to MLB wants to expand to Nashville. Is that what
so in my opinion, and from what I understand, the MLB would love to have a team in Vegas, which they are getting, and the next team, if they expand, would want to be in Nashville.
I hate that.
Why?
Because there isn't a team between DC and Atlanta, and there needs to be one.
Where's it going, Brad?
Charlotte.
Oh, wow, that's right. But they have to scale. So again, okay, let me take that back. Charlotte or Nashville are the two other ones that I would think that they'd want to expand to down the stretch. Okay, you feel better now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So
I'm just saying, like, and we've talked about this too. I now live in the Charlotte area. Baseball down there is massive.
Yeah,
it's everywhere, and it's just crazy that there's no professional teams down there.
It is wild. But that's why a lot of people connected with the Braves.
Yeah.
The Bravos. So yeah, anyway, 2025, hopefully it comes back to Baltimore because it has been way too long. And I really want this message to be about Baltimore.
Yeah.
How much this city really does love the team.
Yeah.
This is a great sports city.
As shitty as they've been over the years, and as crazy as the management in the front office has been, we still love our O's.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and then people love them. And people, I mean, that the Delman Young triple or double down the line that
everybody
came over, but that energy, that gives me goosebumps. That's what Baltimore's capable. They love this team here.
Yep.
2025, keep your fingers crossed. MLB make the right decision.
Still one of the most beautiful parks in MLB.
And that's not being biased.
No,
that is just a fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the love to see it. Now let's go to the other side. And you can kick us off with the hate to see it.
I hate to see it, Ryan, that we still haven't had like a premier American actually like go anywhere in Wimbledon. A male American. I don't want to take anything away from Serena, but we haven't had a dude in Wimbledon do anything, and really in tennis in general, in a very, very long time. And it was just it was great to see Eubanks get some recognition. It looked like he was going to make a good run, and you just kind of hate to see that he just couldn't cut it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's actually there's no Americans left now in the semifinals and finals. Eubanks and Keys made it to the quarters. Keys for the women's side, and it's great. And what she's done, and when Venus and that, it was awesome. And again, that was so great to see an American be at the top. It's so weird. The two sports that the U.S. has really struggled with the competition has been in tennis
and soccer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and it makes sense. I know a lot of different reasons, but man, you think about it. I'm almost positive. And I was looking this up. The last American to win a major in tennis, male, I think was Andy Roddick.
Oh,
back in the early 2000s, was 2003. Was the last time an American has clinched a major title.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's 20 years. That's 2 decades. So I hate to see that, because this is a sport that I think is a lot of fun. I love watching Wimbledon. I love watching those major tournaments. And I love the people getting behind. Tiafoe has the Maryland roots here, by the way, as well. Hopefully he had a great run at the U.S. Open last year. Can see that again. There are some great young players.
Maybe I'm dating myself here, but I don't know if there's actually been a more electrifying tennis player from America since Andre.
Probably. Or Pete Sampras too. Pete and Andre. But Andre, you're talking about electrifying, and as far as like the personality.
The legend that is Andre.
The legend that's Andre.
Yeah.
So the point being right there.
And how long ago was that, right? Like it was forever ago.
Yeah, but the fact that right now, Andy Roddick was the last one that has won a major title. 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. That is a long time. I hate to see it. Well, let's keep moving to another hate to see it. Brad.
Yes.
This was circling for a while. So I got asked quite a bit why Brad here, this guy that probably no one knew at the time.
They still don't really know.
Sent a photo and tagged me of Adam Frazier wearing one right off the cojones. And the caption said, "Cup or no cup," with nothing else. And we don't have to show the bottom part there. Well, you can. There it is. Whammy. Goodness.
How'd your kids?
But so I didn't even realize what.
First of all, this actually looks like a wiffle ball.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we zoom out of that now? Get that out of here. The point that, I mean, holy shirts and pants, dude. It actually is hilarious, because on the adult side, a lot of people saying like, "Good for Adam Frazier."
Yeah, that's what Jake the Rake just said.
Guy's packing.
So the reason that I put that up was because it was more of a, do you wear cups or do you not wear cups?
Well, yeah, that I realized that. The rest of the Twitter didn't realize what you were doing. Thought you were just zooming in on Adam Frazier there, which.
Well, and then to follow that up, right? Like, because we hadn't talked since then, the All-Star game, poor Adley Rutschman.
Oh, gosh.
Gets it.
Castellanos first.
Right.
Goes after the first pitch, fouls it off Rutschman.
Oh.
You can hear it even there. Like, he asked him, and like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, well, I can guarantee you Adley was wearing a cup.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
You're not getting up after that if you aren't.
I have had players, and I even mentioned this before, that did not wear cups when they caught in professional baseball.
That's absolutely insane.
Insane.
Ridiculous.
And I remember saying, he goes, "Well, if my glove's so good, I'll be fine." I go, all right. I'm just like, I'm calling bullshit on that, because did you see what happened to Adley? I think Adley's hands are pretty good.
Yeah.
Foul ball, you can't control that.
By the way, it still hurts. Like when Adley got hit with the cup on, it still doesn't feel great.
Yeah. It feels terrible.
Yeah.
I've had guys had even some serious complications of a foul balls off the genitalia.
Frankenbeans.
Yeah, Frankenbeans, the goods, whatever you want to call it, where they actually had to go to the hospital with a cup.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
they're like, man, because they had such complications. And so it's like, it's no joke. So for everyone out there, like it hurts so bad. But secondly, wear a cup. It ain't worth it. Like
No.
it really can save it. But catchers that did it, I remember the one guy said, not going to say his name, but some of my teammates know. I'm like, you are insane.
Yeah.
Good for you. And I will continue to say, I would say a prayer for him every single time he went down behind home plate. I'm like, please don't be the spot.
Yeah.
Please don't be the spot.
Yeah.
Because
Balls of steel.
maybe that will be
Balls of steel.
balls
But
of
the
steel.
only time that I would not wear a cup was when I was in the outfield, because like the chafing when you're running around out there was just brutal.
No, I mean, you get used to it. You know what I mean?
I guess.
You get used to it sometimes. I mean, I always wore a cup. I got to a point I still had to wear a cup when I DH'd because I was so used to hitting with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Is that psycho?
No,
No. It's
but I
used
just
to it.
I
Were you a jockstrap guy? No jock.
jockstrap guy.
Yeah. I didn't have the slide in, but I will say back then some people had like the metal cups too.
Oh,
Really
geez.
heavy duty.
You know, like when we were in Little League, they probably don't do this anymore because it's 2023. Like coaches would be like cup checking everybody with a bat, and you'd always tell a kid just screams and runs away because they knew they didn't have one.
You know, I know. Actually, I'll say my cup story. And it wasn't. This is a game I DH'd, and I'm glad I wore the cup that day. Oh, actually, no, I lied. I didn't wear the cup. That's why I wore the cup every single day after this. I'm playing with the Orioles. We're in Delmarva. It's low A for the Baltimore Orioles. We're playing Hagerstown, and I hit a line drive right up the middle. Runners on second base. He's coming around the score, and then there's an overthrow. So I'm thinking I'm going to take second base. So I make a hard turn, keep going.
Yeah.
Catcher comes up to cut it off to try to throw me out at second. I slide in, and my leg slides in open to the throw.
Yeah.
The second baseman misses the throw, whammy, right in the nuts. And I even remember because I'm like, should I or should I not wear a cup right up until the game time? And after that moment, I'm screaming, and I know some of the Nats guys because that was my former organization who played for Hagerstown. They're like, "Oh, that got you where it didn't rip." And I go, "Yep." And I said, "Never again.
Yeah,
I will not put myself through this pain if I don't have to." But I got a knock. I actually hit a line drive, broke the bat, and hit the catcher's glove all in the same play.
Hopefully, it was worth it.
I mean, knocks are always worth it. You'll do anything for knocks. All right, what do we got for another hate to see?
I also hate to see Ryan Ripken continue to talk about how boneless wings are just as good as traditional wings. And now your boy Rocco's also gotten on this train and came out and called you straight up man child.
Well,
listen, let's just put this all to bed, okay? Boneless wings are chicken nuggets for adults, and that's just all there is to it. And traditional wings are better than boneless wings, period. And you're never going to agree. But the rest of the world, Twitter has now basically made it known that you are not correct, sir.
Well, you know what? Do you believe everything on Twitter?
Go follow at Ryan Ripken.
You want the truth. When you want the truth, follow Ryan Ripken. No, but honestly, a boneless buffalo wing to me, if there's a good boneless,
it's not even a buffalo wing.
But I don't. It's so. You know what? I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it. Okay, that was yours. That's fine. I'm not upset. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm all groovy over here. I got nothing to worry about. Last, hate to see it.
Why does the Washington Post think they have any business telling anybody how to eat crabs? This is an old post, by the way. It says August of 2016, but I just happened to see it on Twitter. It's actually new on Twitter. But apparently it says they think a good rule of thumb is 3 to 4 crabs per person. And I got news for you. I'm housing a dozen of them.
I mean, if there is as many left over and I'm being, I'm going to let other people, if they haven't had their fix yet, you're going to be respectful.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet for me with the crabs.
You have to tell me to stop.
Myself, but then I'm going to eat dinner after it as well. Right. That is what I will do.
Correct.
But I will eat as much as I can desire. 3 to 4, I was shocked.
3 to 4, and
I
then
think I had 3 to 4 when I was born.
and then order fewer if you're also ordering corn, hush puppies, oysters, and other appetizers, which it should be fried chicken. But
Yeah, the
fewer?
no, I was gonna say Joe right there. Joe said 68 easy. I got it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh,
There
it
he
is.
goes. There we go.
6 to 8 easy.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Like, and I can't agree.
You have to
You don't know enough about crabs, Brad. Well, guess what? Maybe we should have a tutorial on crabs about how good. I will say this: people, if you don't have like the Maryland ties, and you're not really picking and going through all of it, it's a lot
you
of
hate
work.
it. You probably hate it if you're
It's
not.
a social thing.
is.
My girlfriend's from Maine.
Yeah.
You know, she loves her lobster.
Yeah.
She feels like it's more bang for your buck, which it might be.
Ain't lying.
But it's just the crab, the season, it's the experience.
It is.
It's the
100%.
experience.
And they're delicious.
You know, Lisa said crab legs are whole crabs.
Whole crabs.
It's whole crabs.
100%.
Whole crabs, Lisa. I got to. Whole crabs all the way. And Joe, wrong. Boneless is good. Joe, this is why we're friends. This is why this friendship's going to bloom.
I didn't say that. So let me clarify. I didn't say that boneless isn't good or that I wouldn't even eat a boneless wing, if you want to call it a wing. It's just not better than a traditional wing.
Oh, it is.
Stop.
It is. It is. It is great. It is great. You know what? But everyone can like what they like, you know?
Speaking of hot takes, we're getting into our next segment, and we hope that we get more interaction from you guys the next time we bring this around. It's the first time we're bringing it around, so no surprise that there wasn't any real engagement there, but we're hoping that it continues to become a good thing because I think it's going to be awesome, and it's just called Hear Me Out. And it's just kind of where we kind of give our hot takes, and it's not necessarily has to do with sports in general. It could be about whatever you want, life, what have you. I think the wings could have been a good one here for Hear Me Out, but I just hated seeing anybody talk about wings that way. So in mine is actually sports related, but also media related. So hear me out. A sports game will be called by a streamer or creator within the next 5 years. So what I mean by that is like your Joe Bucks, your Troy Aikmans aren't going to be calling a game. And in fact, it's going to be a streamer or creator, much like you or me, calling a game, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, whatever, within the next 5 years.
I see it. I think we're going to move that way. I mean, it's a whole different day and age. I mean, even though we do have people that we like, let's be honest, there's some broadcasters that we really love.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of creators now that have gained so much traction that their presence alone would have some of these big companies want to bring them on, or even wait, Tom, are you saying that a content creator is going to buy the rights to call a game?
No, I'm saying that like Amazon Prime now has Thursday Night Football, right? They own Twitch. If I was a C-suite exec over there, I'd be like, the way that things are going, and if we take a page out of Disney's book with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning watching Monday Night Football together, having guests on there, kind of like having more of like a couch sitting conversation while watching football.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that the audience was eating that up and how much that caught on.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that if I own now the rights to Thursday Night Football and I own a streaming service, that I would pay one of my creators that are on that platform a stupid amount of money to do generally the same thing, and that you could have interaction with people with just like how you guys are chatting on here and make it so engaging. I think that would just make the game so much more exciting when you know that you can talk to people. Maybe even it's not a streamer, right? Maybe you actually buy, you pay, who knows, Shannon Sharp to come on Twitch and start talking about Thursday Night Football. And Thursday Night Football doesn't have good ratings in general. So wouldn't that, I would think that would be something that they would at least consider.
The people that are watching is the fans of the team, or if you got fantasy football implications. That's
Correct.
really the only reasons that you're watching.
Yeah.
But you're not watching it if it's some of the games are really, they're trying to change it a little bit, but because now they can flex games.
Yeah.
But some games you're like, man, I really have no part of that, especially when it was just felt like they were playing the division rival or some teams that just weren't very good. Not going to tune in.
No.
But who was one of the top creators on YouTube? Was it Mr. Beast?
Mr. Beast is the top creator on YouTube. Yeah.
So what? He's got 120 million.
Yeah.
maybe
Thereabouts.
more, whatever it is.
Thereabouts.
So I think to your point, it's like
On one channel. by the way.
on one channel.
Yeah, he's got
So
several.
that reach right there alone,
Right.
I think that's genius. Maybe you should be an exec over there.
I mean, hey, give me a call.
Give you a call.
Give me a call, Jeff.
So let me see if we got. Okay. Well, Lisa, since I moved to DC, should I be a Commanders fan? Your heart can't change your heart like that.
No.
Can't happen.
No.
Um,
Hell no.
I don't know if this is a hot take.
Hear me out.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I was still stuck on. I was talking about wings for a minute, which I might still get into. But you're talking about with the NFL. I'm worried. At what point are we going to see a decline with the NFL production as far as the game? We're seeing now less youth playing. It is such a big money grabber for college, for football, for the NFL. I love it. I love watching it. I love the fantasy component. But when does some of these issues really start to burst?
As far as what, like concussions or what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, do you think there's going to be a decline in football with that over the next 10 years?
No, absolutely not. The reason why I say that is because it's expanding globally. And I think there's going to be, you already saw that where there's going to be, is it 1 game, 2 games in Germany?
Mm-hmm.
And then Mexico, of course, is going to be in the mix again. So I think the way that they're expanding, and not only that, but the Germans are obsessed with football, and the popularity that it's gained over there is crazy. They are super pumped to have a football game in Germany this year.
Do you think there's an NFL team that goes there and that the NFL makes a franchise in one of these international countries?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the next 10 years,
there's going to be a European league within the next 10 years.
Do you think there's a straight up European, like they're just going to try to bring that? They tried to have that type of construction.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that the NFL, as we know it in the US, is going to be able to have global games like that unless they somehow figure out how to schedule them out over the entire year. I mean, I don't know what their big picture is, what their 30,000 foot view is, but that would be kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would. I mean, it's the whole sports landscapes are just always so fascinating to me. I mean, we're already seeing how the games are changing just from rule-based wise, how the game's been played over the years, now to the sense of still the popularity is at an all-time high.
Right.
And for football, though, the popularity, it felt like people still loved it. And the fantasy football component is so big. I mean, I love it. Again, if players don't do well, like I don't care if they don't do well.
Yeah.
I want to win my thing, but I mean, it's not to the point of that, but they draw so many different things.
Yep.
But again, at some point, people have to, is the drum going to beat louder down the stretch? We're all like, we just had the wave of talking about concussions. And I think it's pretty well known that concussions and the situations and the dangers of playing football, but is that going to die down because you're going to have to make a choice of if you want to play that sport or not?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Well,
people love that. People love football. People love they don't want to see people get hurt. Obviously, the DeMar Hamlin thing happening and everything else, but they love the violence of the sport.
yeah, that's true.
And I think that's just that's what draws the crowd.
Yeah. But you know what a lot of people love? Boneless buffalo wings.
Yeah,
and I still am going to stay true to that. It's easy to eat. This is my last take. It's easy to eat. Yeah, you can feel like you can eat 15 to 20 of them. A good boneless buff to me, I honestly would take over a good wing, like a good regular wing.
There you have it, guys. If you want to be lazy, get yourself a boneless wing.
No, it's not saying getting lazy, but I mean, both. I don't discriminate my wings here.
Your first comment was that they were easy to eat.
They are easy to eat. You kidding me?
Yeah. So
just saying, a good wing, whether it's boneless or not, shouldn't matter. If you like it, it tastes good. I'm eating it. I'm not picky.
White meat or dark meat?
In which context here?
Doesn't matter. White meat or dark meat?
You know what? Growing up was a lot of white meat, but I sneaky kind of like for Thanksgiving, I lean more dark meat now.
I guess that kind of makes sense as to why you like the boneless wings.
Okay. All right.
It's white. It's white meat.
All right. Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this week's show. We certainly appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up on your way out the door if you would be so kind. We couldn't leave this whole, gosh darn show, by the way. Don't leave yet. I forgot we got
No.
Yeah.
Don't you do it.
Why are you giving, you put this up?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, show it. Show it. Let the world see it. Yeah.
This is the guy that says he likes boneless wings over traditional.
That's called peak performance.
Can you trust that guy? I don't know if you can.
You know what? That guy, that's called you will do anything, anything for a hit. And I mean anything. Did that lead to a hit? Yes. Did it work that night? Absolutely not. But you know what? I went out in public like that.
I can't believe the comments that you got off of this picture. It's
Well,
hilarious.
you know what? Give the people what they want. I got more of those and way more stories behind it. One of the last things, because I've seen about it's National Friday. It's National Fries. Not Friday. Today's
like
Thursday.
fried food day?
Like national, like a fry.
Oh, like French fry.
French fry day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
What's your favorite condiment with it?
Favorite condiment with fries? Ooh, it's a toss up, and sometimes I use both Old Bay and vinegar.
I'm Old Bay. We can agree on something tonight, Brad. How about that?
We
That's
agreed
good.
on some stuff today.
We agreed on some things. It's not the most important things. But Old Bay, I don't get to the heavy. Like I never did the cheese. I never did a lot of cheese fries. I never did a lot of. When it gets too much for me, I like the kind of I like salt, pepper, or Old Bay. Something that's just simple and a really good fry. I feel like doesn't need too much.
But what about poutine?
Joe, I don't know about gravy.
Yeah, you don't do the poutine. You never had poutine?
No.
What? Oh man, you're
Am I
so well
missing out on
traveled.
More things now?
You're so well traveled. I thought that you would have had poutine.
I am pretty well traveled. You know what? If you show it to me, yeah, I definitely. Never mind. I know. It's
the French fries and the gravy and the cheese curds. It's a heart attack in a basket.
Well, great. Let me go try that now. That sounds like it's right down
amazing.
my alley.
It's amazing.
You saw me.
Jake the Rake has had poutine. It's fantastic.
Okay. Well, Jake, I might have to try that then.
I probably would take tater tots over French fries though every day of the week.
Wow, that's kind of bold. I think a good tot,
hear me out.
Full tater tots is still in here.
That's right. I forgot. We got a guy watching. It's got tater tots in his name.
Brown gravy on fries. I might have to. I do love my gravy for certain meals, but on my fries, you know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have these samples of what we should try.
All right.
Down the road here.
Yep.
And maybe we can have it with Kyle at the Island Rooster Cry to get some items
All
that
right.
we need to try.
Yeah.
We will sample them. I'm going to have all the Pepto-Bismol in the world in case I need it. And we will sit down and we will try this out because I think that'd be a good spectacle. And we can put all of this to the test. So everyone that has their suggestions, look forward to that in the future. I think now we're ready to wrap it up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, guys, we appreciate everything. I'll let Brad do the housekeeping stuff here, but we are next Thursday. Our plan is to be back here again, 7:00. I actually will be just finishing up the pregame show for Baltimore baseball tonight. So that'll be from 5:30 to 6:30. So listen into that. And then we'll be right on here to boogie and talk about some more. Like and subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and give us feedback on what you want to hear moving forward. We got a lot more to add. That's all I got, Brad. Take us away.
That's right. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Tell everybody exactly what we're up to, what we're doing. We're taking the city over, baby, and then beyond after that as well. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Hit that like button on your way out. Enjoy the rest of your week. See ya.